Go to the phone because I can't. No way, look. Oh.
You see it?
Yeah. What is that? Siapa?
On June 25th, 2025, Dee's Dark Adventures released another late-night investigation, one that quickly escalated into a frantic and emotionally draining ordeal. Shot deep inside an isolated woodland area, the episode follows a solo outing that began while Dee was already on shaky ground. She opens the video explaining that her day had been rough, mentioning she nearly lost her phone and experienced what she called a major panic episode. Even so, she heads into the forest alone, hoping the quiet and the unknown might calm her in the only way she trusts, by facing whatever might be out there. Armed with just a flashlight, camera, trigger ball, and voice recorder, she walks into the dark. Almost immediately, subtle disturbances begin.
Hope you guys are doing all right. I've had to do this intro 3 times and it's not like me. I had a horrible day today. Not trying to down you guys or get you guys down, but I about had a panic attack. My phone was taken and then I got it back. So I've been in a mess all day. iPhone, your iPhone, man. Anyway, I'm good, just stressed, so please mind me. But we're here. There's a lot of traffic. I'm hoping once we get down in here that it'll die down. But I don't know if they drove over a stick or...
Light snaps, far-off knocks, and faint steps circling her from multiple angles. At first, she tries to stay grounded, blaming some of her nerves on distant traffic and her unsettled mindset. But the atmosphere changes.
Where are you? Hello? I go to the phone because I can't. No way, look! No. Wait, stop. Okay, everything's coming too fast. Oh, you can't see me. I don't even know where the ball's at now. It just went up. There was leaf movement. That sounds like electric. Like if you, for a second, it sounds like underneath a power line. Movement to my right. I can't move so fast. You guys are quick.
As she moves deeper into the trees, she sets down her trigger ball and tries to initiate communication. She introduces herself politely, referencing earlier visits and leaving small gestures behind in hopes of forming a connection. Soon after, the ball begins lighting up on its own, with nothing nearby to set it off. As the responses increase, so does the tension. Dee starts noting light whispers, strange electrical buzzing, and an unnerving sense of eyes on her. Shapes flicker between the trees, and trying to follow them only intensifies her fear. One particularly unsettling moment comes when she realizes the trailhead, one she's entered from before, looks entirely wrong.
Oh, I saw that pointy shadow there, got me. Okay, we're going to the entrance. Maybe if I run, no, don't run. I'm gonna walk really fast. Here we go. Walking fast. Faces past as I'm entrance bound. Doodle-doo-doo-doo. Doodle-doo-doo-doo. Maybe if I sing, I'll probably hate it more. Here we go. Okay. Walking through the woods, no problem. Oh, this is my own song, don't take it. Walking through the woods, no problem. Oh, why does every YouTuber end it with a song? So funny. Okay. Ooh. Hi. That's 2. Come on, man. The ball has not went off. I think it's went off one more time since I've clicked it, and that's it.
Familiar markers seem misplaced, and obstacles she knew are suddenly positioned differently. The confusion pushes her closer to panic. She then catches a glimpse of something pale moving quickly between the trunks.
Okay, smells like death so bad it panics me. I saw that Whitefoot thingy. I just heard that screech. I'm out, man. They're freaking out. I'm freaking out. It's gonna be a terrible video. You all are gonna hate it. It's probably already clicked away. Sorry for acting a fool in your woods. I apologize. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm going to make it. Dang it. Over that thing. It's not under now, it's over. Did you get zapped or do you still work? You still work, but it hasn't gone off. Huh. Fine. Makes it even better. Whatever.
Vague, fast, but disturbingly human in outline. The smell of the forest shifts too, thickening with a heavy, almost rotten odor she instinctively associates with decay. Making things worse, her previously active gear goes silent. Even the trigger ball that had lit up moments earlier no longer reacts. Her thoughts begin to spiral. Switching between jokes, self-mockery, and genuine fear, Dee tries to steady herself with humor and even a short song, but her voice trembles. Every step feels less certain. Equipment glitches. The sounds grow stronger, and she starts questioning whether coming alone was a mistake. By the final stretch, the fear is overwhelming. Several unclear figures appear to move around her. Her flashlight dims. The forest feels as though it's closing in. She speaks apologies to viewers and to the woods as she rushes out in a frantic retreat. Her last moments are filled with whispered hopes she won't be followed and repeated attempts to reassure herself it's over. When she finally exits the forest, she's breathless, shaken, and emotionally exhausted. She admits the night may have been more than she could handle. This investigation felt different, not just because of the activity, but because of its impact on her. Whether the altered trail and silent devices were paranormal or psychological, her emotional unraveling was real. Her stress may have heightened her perception of danger, or perhaps something in the woods responded in its own way. What do you think the forest reacted to? Her vulnerability, or something already waiting? Share your thoughts below. And remember, sometimes the real fear isn't outside, but how far inward you're willing to look. Posted on June 26, 2025, Fuzzy Dog Productions released what appeared to be another cheerful travel vlog, complete with their trademark jokes, lovable dogs, and upbeat soundtrack, capturing what was supposed to be a relaxing camping trip. Their destination for the weekend was Sweetwater Campground in Brewster, Massachusetts. What started as an impromptu evening drive quickly became a far more unusual outing. Leaving around 7 p.m., the pair planned to arrive late and wake up surrounded by woods the next morning. But getting there after dark proved harder than they expected. Tight roads, unclear signage, and a wrong turn pushed them into the incorrect loop of the campground before they finally reached their assigned spot. After navigating the mix-up and wandering through unfamiliar lanes, they eventually settled in and decompressed.
Coming in here was no joke. The roads were really narrow. The signage is pretty poor, especially at night. I mean, that's kind of our choice though. I mean, we found it, but we had to do this huge loop through the C section where we were supposed to be in the A section, and the A section was just honestly a quick left that we missed. So user error as always. what are you gonna do? But we're here, we made it, started a fire, gonna chill out. So we really drove 2.5, almost 3 hours to find lobster rolls. And that's what we're going after. We're looking forward to it tomorrow. It's going to be a great day.
The site itself was exactly what they wanted. Secluded, quiet, and shaded, providing the perfect little retreat. They wrapped up the night beside a fire, excited to explore the area and hunt down some local lobster rolls the next day. But the morning brought something unexpected. At roughly 5 a.m., while the couple was still asleep, someone quietly entered their campsite and went through their gear. The first clue that something was wrong was subtle. Small things seemed out of place. Soon enough, they realized every bottle of their premium alcohol had vanished. Stranger still, each one had been replaced with unfamiliar budget brands.
He might have taken more, I don't know.
Wow.
That's crazy. We got robbed.
Why didn't you take the Annie's mac and cheese? Was this there? Is this the Grand Louis thing? I bet it is, right? Morning. We had a guy walk through here probably about 5 in the morning. The dog was starting to bark. We don't know how long he was here, and he stole all our booze. Literally went through the back of Luna, took the Drambuie for the recommended drink, and just kept walking. Wow, lesson learned. Not only did he take our good stuff, he left us shitty stuff. We're definitely a little shocked that this guy went through all of our stuff. This lady here, Mrs. Fuzzy Dog, she's just pissed. Rightfully so. It's just weird.
This wasn't typical theft. Whoever was there had intentionally swapped their expensive bottles for cheap ones. There were no signs of force, no mess, and nothing else missing. Just an eerie, purposeful exchange. The fact that the intruder arrived with replacement bottles implied preparation. Their dog had barked in the early hours, but at the time, it didn't feel important. Looking back, it was likely the only warning. Still unsettled, they pushed ahead with their plans. They toured the area, sampled lobster rolls, and walked their dogs through Cape Cod's scenic trails. Good food and fresh air helped restore some normalcy, though the odd encounter hovered in the back of their minds.
We are leaving this place. This place is beautiful. It's huge. It's heavily wooded, so we feel like we're in the woods. It's really exciting, especially after the morning. But we're going to forget about that morning. We're going to go get lobster rolls. We're going to go get booze. I don't know. We're going to go find an adventure. These dogs for a long walk, probably at one of the state parks out here on the Cape. Let's go.
Cheers. Perfect. It's pretty good. Hi, Haggerty.
We are still on the elusive hunt to try to get or restock our booze for the recommended drink.
They had neither. He, at least the first place used to have it. This guy didn't. He was like, no, we don't have that.
Even as the day went on, the mystery lingered. Who entered their campsite? Why bother replacing the bottles instead of just taking them? And what if someone had woken up during the intrusion? Later that night, the couple stayed inside their camper. Unable to remake their usual drinks due to the missing ingredients, they improvised with what remained. The trip concluded quietly, though the feeling of being watched never fully went away. The careful nature of the bottle swap suggests this wasn't a random act. It's possible the person had done it before, maybe observing from a distance and waiting for the right moment. With nothing else missing, it seems they had one specific goal. Was it a prank? A strange habit? Or something more unsettling? The idea of someone silently entering your space, exchanging your belongings, and slipping away unnoticed is deeply disturbing. What do you think really happened? Share your thoughts below. In one of the most unsettling solo exploration uploads of the year, Indonesian creator Debbie Pertanti returned with a tense overnight venture into Hutan Pesugihan, a forest notorious for its dark folklore and uneasy spiritual reputation. Inspired by fellow adventurers Mas Kesit and Bang Ivan, Debbie decided to confront her nerves by staying alone in the same section of the woods where both had previously reported strange incidents.
Oke, teman-teman, ini saya berada di hutan pesugihan ya, teman-teman. Di mana saya nonton channelnya Mas Gesit dan Bang Ivan. Dan aduh, saya udah parno duluan ini. Saya nyampe sini kemalaman teman-teman, karena saya nanya-nanya sama Mas Gesit. Dan saya kayaknya aduh ini mau buka ini aja teman-teman, hammock.
Her plan was straightforward. Set up her hammock, cook something simple, and quietly observe the surroundings. But almost nothing unfolded the way she anticipated. Reaching the spot proved difficult. Delays and missed turns slowed her progress as she searched for the only marker she knew, a white sack tied to a tree, often mistaken for a pokong, a ghost figure from local tradition. When she finally reached the area near sunset, Debbie, clearly anxious but resolute, set up camp directly opposite the unsettling sack. She made a small meal and attempted to focus on the familiarity of the task, but the noises started early.
Hal yang paling mengerikan di hutan adalah binatang, teman-teman. Dan
odd rustling and shifting in the trees suggested she wasn't alone. At first, she assumed it must be animals, maybe monkeys. Yet, as darkness deepened, the sounds grew harder to explain. Soft murmurs, distant cries, and something moving around her camp just outside the beam of her light. Around 11 p.m., everything changed. Debbie suddenly woke to what she believed was something heavy falling onto her hammock, knocking her to the ground. Trembling and unwilling to remain exposed again, she gathered her gear and walked deeper into the woods with only her flashlight.
Kom. Aduh. Kok saya ngeri banget ya di sini. Assalamualaikum, saha. Ih, kayak ada yang ngikutin. Ih, siapa?
Quietly reciting prayers to steady herself. As she pressed on, she described a sudden shift in temperature, from humid heat to a cold, clammy chill. The atmosphere seemed to weigh on her. Her hands shook as she filmed tight clusters of trees, shadowy forms, and noises she couldn't rationalize. Branches cracked. Distant voices seemed to respond to each other. She began to feel watched. Her distress became increasingly visible. Several times she appeared ready to break down.
Aduh. Tuh, ada batang pohon nih. Jangan ada yang ikut. Jangan ada yang ikut. Saya mau pulang. Tolong. Udah, jangan ada yang ikut. Tolong. Aduh, ya Allah. Saya udah bener-bener gak fokus nih jalan nih.
Even more disturbing were her reminders that both Mas Kisit and Bang Ivan, who had explored the area together, once said the fear here was luar biasa, extraordinary. And now she was confronting it alone. Eventually, the intensity became too much. What she interpreted as ghostly voices grew clearer. Her flashlight dimmed. Debbie ended the exploration and began retreating, pleading softly into the dark for anything following her to stop. The tremor in her voice showed just how real the fear had become.
Oke, teman-teman. Luar biasa banget, dan ini Saya udah lagi jalan untuk ke warung teman-teman. Kayaknya saya mau tidur di warung aja teman-teman, karena udah bener-bener nggak sanggup banget. Luar biasa terornya. Udah ketemu saya pada saat di warung ya teman-teman. Biar saya fokus jalannya, biar bisa cepet. Oke, mantap. Oke teman-teman, alhamdulillah saya udah di warung dan kayaknya saya mau lanjut tidur di sini aja teman-teman. Udah saya nggak bisa berkata apa-apa lagi teman-teman. Terima kasih banyak supportnya, selalu nungguin video saya teman-teman, dan semoga teman-teman sehat-sehat selalu ya. Amin. Oke, saya tutup video ini teman-teman. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh teman-teman.
She finally reached a small roadside shelter near the forest entrance and chose to stay there for the night, admitting she couldn't continue. Her closing thoughts were weary and sincere, relieved to be safe but emotionally drained. There were no sensational claims, no dramatics, just honesty. The psychological burden of entering a place like this alone is enormous. Whether paranormal or not, the mix of cultural legends, night noises, solitude, and inherited fear can trigger intense anxiety or even imagined phenomena. Yet the similarities between Debbie's experience and those of earlier explorers invite questions. Are these shared patterns, or does fear simply compound itself in places with heavy reputations? Do you think Debbie was overcome by fear, or did something genuinely accompany her in the forest? Share your thoughts below. Some places carry a weight you can feel, and this may be one of them. In a 30-second video filmed on February 29, 2012, a quiet walk in the woods takes a far more unsettling turn. Shot by creator Nathan Arnold, the clip shows him and his young son exploring a calm forest path. What begins as a simple afternoon outing quickly shifts into fear. Not because of anything loud or hostile, but because of a motionless figure standing far ahead in the trees.
You don't see that?
I don't see anything. What is that?
You see it?
Yeah. What is that? Gosh.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
While making their way down the trail, both suddenly stop. Something unusual has caught their attention up the path. The camera briefly captures a tall, shadowy figure positioned deeper in the woods. It seems to be wrapped in a long, dark cloak, its outline rigid and unnervingly still. The old footage is grainy, making details impossible to interpret. Yet the figure's height, stance, and overall silhouette trigger immediate alarm. Nathan lowers his voice to a whisper. His son quietly confirms he sees it as well. There is no attempt to approach, no desire to investigate, only the instinct to turn around and get out. The camera jitters as they back away, their fear obvious in both their tone and their movements. Whatever stood there did not move. It simply watched. Despite the clip's short length and blurry appearance, its effect is surprisingly strong. Some viewers argue the figure could be a cryptid, possibly a Bigfoot. Others think it may have been a person dressed in dark clothing. But the power of the video doesn't rely on clarity. It's in the reactions. There's something genuine in how Nathan and his son respond. The hushed panic, the immediate choice to retreat. It doesn't feel staged. And that's what makes it haunting. Not the figure itself, but the feeling it creates. What would you do if you and your child saw something like this, standing silently among the trees? Was it a lost person, someone hiding, or something entirely different? Share your thoughts below, because deep in the woods, silence can be the most dangerous warning of all. The creator behind Project Darkwood is no stranger to exploring isolated terrain, but in a recent upload, the mood drifted away from casual cryptid investigation into something far more unnerving. After receiving an email from a property owner claiming repeated run-ins with a semi-aggressive creature on his remote land, Don agreed to an unusual request: spend a night camping deep within the area and see what might appear.
Welcome to Project Darkwood. My name is Don, and I'm disgusting. I've been hiking for like 8 miles, and I'm sweaty. But basically what has happened is this guy contacted me through my email and said that he has a big piece of land that allegedly he has had multiple encounters with a semi-aggressive Bigfoot on. And he asked if I wanted to come check it out. And I was like, in what context? And he said, if you want, you can spend the night and, camp out and see what happens. And I said yes. So here I am. I'm on his property. I got my camp set up right now. I had to hike into the middle of it. I wanted a good vantage point to get to all the corners. Also, if you watched the New Year's update video, in it I talked about how my night vision camera was kind of having malfunction issues when I was in Blue Ridge. Well, unfortunately, it shit the bed and is now just out of commission completely. So we're going old school. I'm using the DSLR with a headlamp. It's a pretty bright one, so we should be all right. I thought about waiting until I got the night vision cam fixed, but I have no idea when I'm going to be able to afford that. And I definitely cannot afford a new one, so we're just gonna wing it. But yeah, it should be completely dark in a couple hours or so, and then we will put on the gear and go look around and see what we see. Hopefully I don't get eaten. I don't think I will, but
With permission granted and equipment packed, Don hiked several miles into an undisclosed wilderness location. This wasn't just another outing. It carried a different weight. Technical problems forced Don to ditch the usual night vision setup, leaving them with only a DSLR and a headlamp. Even with the setback, the mission stayed the same. Cover ground, record whatever they could, and follow the trail of strange sightings that brought them there.
the battery seems to not last as long in the lighting rig, so if that goes out, we will at least have the headlamp. Just gonna try my best to try to make sure everything is well lit, which seems to keep it from getting crunchy. And try to hold the camera still. Something is moving. There's like armadillos everywhere, and they sound so much bigger than they are. There's one earlier. I started getting freaked out, and then I was like, God damn it, every time. I do have my bear mace on me just in case anything decides to get frisky with me. Don't think it will, but better safe than sorry. By the way, this is the northeastern corner of the property-ish, where we are right now. I can see tiny eye shine everywhere. There's like spiders and stuff. There's plenty of water sources on this property. I could see why there would be any kind of animal activity on here, especially cryptids. I don't know how much this has to do with cryptids specifically as opposed to any other animal, but like they're almost always sighted near sources of water. To me, that just sounds like they're things that need to drink water to live. But I could be wrong. There's like the whole missing 411 thing of like water source plus granite equals missing people or whatever. Strong sulfur smell. And of course, the guy who's letting me stay here did not want me to dox him, so I will not do that. Well, I'm not getting any weird vibes. I don't feel like I'm being watched. Nothing's really happening. I think we'll move on to another sector. Jesus Christ, this property is huge. I'm having to walk miles at a time just to get between the different parts. Whew.
The property was immense. Thick forest, wide trails, and multiple water sources scattered around the land. Don pointed out a familiar pattern. Many reported cryptid encounters occur near water. Whether meaningful or not, the environment offered countless places for something to hide. Throughout the night, Don trekked across different sections of the land. Buzzing insects and distant rustles resolved into harmless animals, and occasionally, a faint sulfur smell drifted through the air.
Seems like there's a little less animal activity over this way, quieter, which seems promising. Some of these trails are really thick, wide trails. Makes me wonder what this land used to be for. So I don't think he made all the trails himself. I think he probably bought it like this, at least for the most part. Okay, well, I've been around this part for about an hour now. Nothing seems to be happening, so let's go ahead and move to the southwestern corner. So the light panel finally died. There's bugs everywhere. I'm gonna continue on with the headlamp and hopefully that should be just fine. All right, we're now in the southwestern corner of the property. Allegedly, this is where the guy said he had the most activity. That remains to be seen. It's a little spooky, I guess. It's mostly just quiet. Apparently they're building a subdivision over that way. Huh.
But as they approached the southwestern portion, the area the owner said had the most activity, everything shifted. The quiet no longer felt ordinary.
Ooh. Something walking. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. Oh, keys. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, holy I'm still filming. Okay. I ran all the way back to the car. Jesus Christ. I hope to I caught that. Okay. I'm gonna get my stuff tomorrow and just hope that it's all still there and not up at all. Christ. Holy shit, I've never run so fast in my life. I'm shaky. Alright. It didn't even hit me fully until like a couple seconds after.
It felt oppressive, heavy, then movement. Something big. Measured footsteps. Intentional. It wasn't a deer, not an armadillo, not even a bear. The weight moving through the plants was unmistakable. Instinct took over. Don bolted. The camera recorded everything. Each strained breath. Every frantic step back toward the car. There was no performance, no build-up, just raw panic and the urge to escape. They didn't stop until reaching the vehicle. Later that night, once safe, Don reviewed the footage and processed what happened. It wasn't just the size of the figure or the eye shine, which looked too intense to be a reflection. It was the way it moved, the visible musculature, the way it maneuvered through the terrain. Not awkward, not mechanical, but smooth, intentional, alive. Don couldn't identify it, but they knew one thing clearly. Whatever it wasn't any known animal they expected to encounter. Returning the next morning to retrieve their campsite gear, they found everything untouched, but the silence around it felt changed. Was it all a misunderstanding? A trick of the mind? Or had Don truly come face to face with something that shouldn't exist at all? Something aware of them, observing, unwelcoming. Share your thoughts, because when you venture far into the woods, isolated from everything else, sometimes you don't get to decide what discovers you. On a bitterly cold night in early January 2025, the creator behind Exploring with Bear headed back to a remote stretch of wilderness, a location longtime viewers already recognized for its unsettling history. The area had gone quiet for nearly a year, yet the stories persisted. Reports of strange lights, distant screams, and sightings of not just one, but two cryptids, Bigfoot and the notorious Dogman, still circulated among locals. This time, Bear intended to spend the night in his truck along the forest edge, equipped with an infrared camera, a small fruit offering, and a fire for heat. He hoped to quietly observe any activity that might unfold. But the deeper the night settled in, the more unusual the atmosphere became.
There we go. Did you guys hear that? What in the world was that? Man, that stinks. We're down to one light. Okay, I got more in the truck, but I didn't expect.
With temperatures dropping into the teens, Bear relied on a wool blanket and hand warmer for warmth. However, the physical discomfort was soon overshadowed by something else. A heavy, unsettling presence hanging over the site. A somber detail added to the tension. Someone had drowned nearby years earlier, and many viewers believe the tragedy contributed to the area's strange energy. It didn't take long for things to change. The first signs were auditory. Distant metallic clanks, odd thuds coming from deeper within the woods. Then the tracks appeared. Large, deep impressions spaced farther apart than any normal animal stride. Some were located in fresh ground he had only recently cleared, as if something had deliberately followed him. While trying to rest, Bear suddenly felt the truck jolt. Something had struck the rear. Startled, he grabbed his flashlight and scanned the area, but nothing was visible. Later, strange vocalizations echoed from the trees. They resembled howls, but not quite. When Bear stepped out of the truck to check again, he found that his infrared camera had shifted from where he originally positioned it. Even more unnerving, the apple he had left as an offering was untouched, yet new tracks had formed around it. No creature appeared on camera, but something had undeniably passed through the camp. By 4 a.m., Bear had reached his breaking point. Freezing, exhausted, and increasingly uneasy, he packed up his equipment, extinguished the fire, and prepared to leave. The forest remained thick with silence. Individually, any one of the night's occurrences could be dismissed: wind, normal wildlife, or simple gear issues. But collectively, they painted a different picture. A pattern took shape: tracks too large, too deep, and too widely spaced. Equipment repeatedly disturbed. Movement in spots he had just inspected. Physical impact against his truck. Displaced gear with no clear evidence of animal or human tampering. Whether it was a territorial creature, something intelligent, or something entirely unknown, whatever roamed the woods kept itself just beyond sight, always near, never visible. What if whatever was out there had no interest in revealing itself? What if it had been watching the entire time, not out of curiosity, but to test boundaries? Share your thoughts below, because in forests like these, silence often means something is paying attention. That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.